oh my God, I had no idea that Wonder Woman 1984 would become such a divisive film. Before I continue on this film, I wanted to say I will be talking a lot of spoilers here. So if you haven't seen the film, you should not watch this film or come back here later. Also, I have a review. You can check that out. I start off with no spoilers and then I get to the spoilers later. Whew, but my goodness, people are complaining about Wonder Woman 1984, and I really wanted to talk about the points here and why do I believe that most of the criticism is fair. Now, it is very hard for me to criticize Wonder Woman because I love this character. It hurts me to have to criticize the character because Superman, Wonder Woman, and Batman are my top favorite characters. I love DC. It's like Star Wars for me. You know, it's so dear to my heart. But I feel like sometimes when you criticize a film, you're actually exposing your opinion and helping the studios into the right direction. But it seems like Warner Bros. Is always making wrong turns, and I just don't understand why. Wonder Woman 2017 was an amazing film. It was critically acclaimed as well as fan acclaimed. And usually I don't care about critics because most of the time they're a bunch of shills anyways. I care about what the fans have to say. But it's very rare when the critics and the fans, they agree. And Wonder Woman 2017 was that movie where both agreed. Both sides agreed. It's a great film. The third act is not the strongest, but it's, wow, we have Wonder Woman. She's amazing. She's powerful. She's beautiful. She's strong. She's a hero, you know. So usually when you go into a film and the formula is completely changed, it's because the prior film did not work. And Wonder Woman 1984 is a completely different film. It's a completely shifting tone. The action is completely different. It's just so weird. It even feels like it was directed by a different director, even though it was also directed by Patty Jenkins. So I understand why people were upset, but I feel like people are most angry about the choices made in the film. And I have to agree that most of the choices were wrong. And they're just plot holes everywhere if you really think about the movie as a whole. Now, like I said, I still think that, yes, he had some great moments. I love the characters, you know, like the acting, I thought it was great. Diana and Steve was such a good connection. I bought all of that, but towards the end, I was completely disconnected with the overall story because a lot of things did not make sense. Oh, it's so frustrating because I really, really love the character. And I feel like this movie also plays a lot with the emotions. You know, it's very manipulative. You know, the whole scene with Diana and Steve it really touched my heart just because I believe their chemistry. I believe that story. But then after I slept on it and I kept thinking, but yes, Steve was in a different body. Why was he in a different body? And why was that okay for Diana? That kept bugging me in my mind. I don't understand if the stone is capable of creating walls out of nowhere and missiles. Why would it not just give her Steve? Why does it have to be in another guy's body? So that's also a criticism that I've seen floating out there. And I believe the criticism is totally fair because yes, she wanted him so much that she did not even care that it was, what about this other guy here? You know, he has a life, he has a house. What is going on? That's weird. That's so weird. And I'm so glad that they actually used Chris Pine. At least we got to see him the way he is all the time. But apparently Diana was only looking at this stranger guy, sleeping with him. That didn't work. It's not good. That whole idea of having him return, I bought it. That's totally fine. So I didn't really like that. And I agree with the criticism. So that's one point. Now, the other point I wanted to mention here that I said in my review, and I had a lot of comments, is the fact that I did not like the whole Diana flying. I was confused by that. It looked like she was flying full on like Superman, and people go, she's been flying since the 80s. Watch the cartoons, read the comic books. Okay, fine. In the animation and the comic book, she might fly like Superman, but we were talking about the movies. The movies are not the same thing as the animation, and you have to remember this film takes place in 1984, and we already have seen the present day Diana in Justice League and BVS, and we do not see her flying like Superman there. She jumps and does all these amazing things, but flying full on like Superman, she does not do that. So I was surprised that she's full on flying here like Superman. I didn't like that. It felt weird, even though the scene itself, I liked seeing her flying. It's nice to see because I really like Gal Gadot. I think she's Wonder Woman. Love her. No problem there. But the fact that she was flying, and I kept thinking, but what's going on here? Why doesn't she fly later on in other films? So I'm thinking of this as the DCU as a whole. And that's why to me it did not work and did not make sense, because we're not talking about animation or comic books. If they had introduced a power here that we see later on in the other films, that's fine. But it's not how it works. We did not see her flying later on. Not like that. So how can they explain that? Also, they try to explain why she has not been seen for a long time, because everywhere she goes, she's breaking the cameras, right? But this whole event that happened in 1984, no one remembers. They did not even establish rules to explain to us if the memory of everyone was wiped. No one has seen Wonder Woman. I don't understand. It was a little bit confusing. I think it all comes to the script. I was very forgiving on my review, and I stand my review that there are good moments that pulled me in. I really loved the acting. I think the actors did the best they could with the script, but at the end of the day, the whole story doesn't really work because there's so many questions. Like, can you answer to me what happened with the newer films that she does not fly, but here she flies? Also, how can everyone explain that why is no one talking in the other films about what happened in 1984? Because it's very much implied that she's disappeared from humanity for a very long time. The first time we see her in BVS, right? No one has heard of her, but all these crazy things are happening in the US because the story was taking place in the Washington, DC, right? So that is why to me felt very confusing, because I'm thinking of this as a whole. Like, how it doesn't make sense. It's not that I don't like that she flies itself. I just don't like the fact that it doesn't make sense that she's not flying later on. Unless perhaps she'll be flying the Snyder Cut. Maybe that in the Snyder Cut happens, the Justice League film happens much later. Maybe the explanation will be there. Okay, fine. Now, also people have been complaining about the whole Cheetah because the CGI looks so bad. And I have to agree with that. That's something that I was disappointed too. But not only that, then I was thinking about how she even gets to be Cheetah. I mean, she already had gotten her wish, which was to be like Diana. She wanted people to respect her, and all the guys were all over her. So she was strong. She had all of that wish, but then why does she still want to transform into an animal like that? So that transformation for me didn't make much sense. Also, the fact that the rules of the whole wishing thing doesn't make much sense. Because first it established that you can only make one wish, right? Maxwell Lord tells that guy in the office, oh, I already asked you yesterday, so I need to find somebody else. But then with Cheetah, oh, I'm feeling generous. You can ask another wish, and then her wish is to become a predator. I mean, what are the rules? I mean, I don't understand. This was not very explained in the script. I don't understand. I'm still confused. And I feel that this is how I really felt towards the film. I love seeing Diana. I love seeing her in action. I'm with her. I was like, oh, she's amazing. But then all these questions are taking me out. Like, what is going on? Like, why can she make two wishes? I don't understand that, but okay. So that's another complaint that I have to agree with people. It totally makes sense that they did not establish certain rules for this whole wishing thing. The fact that Steve is back in somebody else's body and she shows no concern. And then we have, right, the beginning of the film, this amazing sequence of the Amazons, and like it's a flashback. And then at the very end, Diana learns a lesson that she cannot cheat, because the truth is what will set you free, something like that. But then the theme of that amazing beginning doesn't show up throughout the whole film. In fact, if I'm reaching, perhaps is the whole Steve situation where, oh, that's not the true Steve, and so I need to give him up. But that's kind of reaching, and I feel like that did not have a very good payoff. I mean, why are you going to have this amazing flashback if you're not going to properly use it later, you know? I mean, Diana being such a good person, would she not even feel a little bit bad that she's sleeping with this guy that has no, that in somebody else's, I mean, it's her boyfriend, but it's in somebody else's body. I don't know. That was a bit complicated, and I had to agree with people in that. Maxwell Lord, right? I think Pedro Pascal was so entertaining. I loved watching him. But then towards the end, we have that whole, you know, granted situation where he's like, granted. He's like having the time of his life in that scene, right? But Diana gets there, and obviously they can have a full-on fight because he's just a human and she's a god. So there's no way they could fight. But so she has to appeal for him to renounce his wish. And then first he's reaching people through the TV and technology, right? And first the movie shows you that apparently you need to be touching. He's always like holding people like this. And then this other technology, he can touch people. So that means you don't physically have to touch people. You can just, I don't understand anything. And then he walks into this beam of light. That ending was so confusing. And then Diana is able to reach him with the lasso, right? And that was something I didn't really understand. How is he seeing his son? But then upon watching again, I was like, oh my God, yes, apparently the lasso shows you things as well. So perhaps he was seeing his son. So that's the explanation. But then again, he runs from there and then he gets into this field and the son just happens to be there. That didn't make, that part I thought it was a little bit weird. So I agree that this is definitely a step backwards, unfortunately. But I don't really think that it is the worst movie ever made. I don't really agree that, oh, it's worse than this and that. It's not. I mean, I think there are a lot of exaggerations like out there, even though I agree that people, they have the right to criticize the film. And that doesn't mean you hate women, for instance, right? That's not what, one thing does not equal the other one. But yeah, I think the movie failed big time in really, it really given us a compelling story. It had some good moments, yes. It had some heartfelt ideas, but it lacked in the action. The action scene does not even compare to the original film. You know, she's not even wearing her shield and sword, but it makes sense that because she doesn't want to hurt humans. There is even a scene where she tells Steve, do not use the sword because it's not their fault. So that established that she doesn't want to hurt people. So she's only using the lasso, which is interesting that she's using her lasso for everything. That's totally fine. But she could have used the shield against Cheetah, for instance, but maybe that's why she's not using the shield. But it was weird not seeing her have her full armor on, but maybe she only uses the shield and the sword when she's fighting other type of I don't know, maybe that's what it is. So that did not, I know people were criticizing that too, but that, I don't think it's a huge issue here, because most of the time in this film she's just trying to reach people to become better. And I'm fine overall, I'm fine with the whole overall ideas. I just think that it was poorly executed. It just created way more questions in people's minds. I still think people should watch the film and take your own conclusions. I believe that this movie really works if you turn your brain off and just watch Wonder Woman doing Wonder Woman things. But yes, if you really sit down and really think about the story, you will probably think there's a lot of things that doesn't make any sense. You know, the whole Diana flying back and forth. I mean, she went to Cairo and came back so fast that it was just, I don't know, it was weird. I love the jet scene. I had no problem with the whole jet scene, but the fact that in my mind I was asking, how did she get there? How is that plane ready to fly a long distance flight? There's a lot of questions in the back of my mind that I ignored because I was so into Diana and Wonder Woman, and it was like, I love the moment, and just the fact that she was having that moment of happiness made me forgive a lot of things, you know. And I even gave this film a 7 out of 10, which I think it's I don't know if this movie really deserves a 7. I think it's even lower than that, because if you really stop and keep thinking about these things, it just doesn't make much sense. And this movie does not feel grounded like the first one did, and I believe that's the biggest problem that a lot of people are having. That's why I believe a lot of the criticism is fair, and I really wish that Wonder Woman comes back in a better film, you know, with a more grounded story, because I did not think that this was grounded, because there's just so many questions. How did she get into this plane, and how is it ready to fly long distance, you know, and how did you get to another country? I mean, how does that even work? You go back and I don't know. There's a lot of things that you just have to ignore in order to enjoy the film, which I was still able to do it because I just really like seeing the character. I still stand by my review that I love seeing Gal as Wonder Woman. I love seeing the characters, but the overall story indeed is a big problem. Whew. But anyways, guys, that is my reaction to the backlash. Like I said, I believe a lot of people have fair points, but I don't think it is as bad as people was painting it to be. I think you can still enjoy this film if you turn your brain off a little bit. There were good points. There were things that could have been done so much better, and I really wish so much better for Wonder Woman going forward. I'm pretty sure that, you know, like even in the Marvel universe, there are films that people had a problem with, like the second Thor film people didn't like, but we also had other Thor films that people liked. So perhaps this is just going to help the studio to develop a better story going forward, because all you need is a very strong script to make the story work. You cannot just put ideas out there but not fully develop them, you know. I really wish that, even though she is an inspiring character, towards the end I just didn't understand any of it. And then you even have more, right? Towards the end you have the guy that she's been sleeping with, kind of flirting with her, and it's supposed to be hopeful. At the same time, I don't think, oh my God, he had no idea. Did he die when Steve was, what happened? I don't understand. I forgot to mention Linda Carter is back on the finale. I thought that was a nice nod to the idea that she was indeed the one with the gold armor. But I also think the gold armor itself was pretty wasted, right? If you think that the gold armor was going to be this huge thing, that she only needs to use this if she's going to fight. I mean, first and foremost, she did not see Cheetah, a full-on animal like that. So why was she wearing that? Because as far as I understand, she was only going there to fight Maxwell Lord and maybe the Cheetah, you know, Barbara, before she was even transformed. So why was she wearing that suit? And then that suit didn't really serve a lot of purposes, because Cheetah was able to break the wings very easily. I don't know, guys. It is very hard to criticize something that you love, but I think also we need to put our honest opinions right there. Watch the movie, see what you think. Maybe it works for you if you ignore all these questions, or maybe you don't really care about any of it. Maybe it really worked for you, and that makes me really happy. I just think that for me, it was just an okay film. It could have been much better. It had such a, because she has so much potential, this character, but I just hope for a better future for Wonder Woman. Drop your comments down below. Let me know your reaction to the backlash, and I would love to hear your thoughts. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to hit that thumbs up, subscribe for more, and I'll see you next time. Bye.